This is The Joy of Paintball, and I'd like to give a special thanks to my supporters on Patreon. Christopher Harry, Reese Tigert, Colt Wallace, and Edric Alvarez. Thank you so much for your support. The Joy of Paintball also brought to you by Productive Procrastination Productions. Produced by Pipe Dreams and Wishful Thinking. Sound engineers, my kids banging on the door asking for dessert. Also sponsored by free things like caffeine and spell check. The Joy of Paintball made available by viewers like you. Alright folks, I just finished talking to Sean Vera and went down the timeline of his career in paintball and art, how those mesh, and what he's doing now. And this dude it felt like every corner of the conversation he would have another cool little tidbit or thing that he does. He was a tattoo artist, he was a restoration, a muscle car restoration guy, just all the things, everything he did. I was just fascinated by all of it. So I can't wait to share this conversation with you guys. It's Sean Vera, and this is The Joy of Paintball. I'm your host, Clint Riddle, and here you go. Jump right in. Enjoy. First off, thanks for coming on The Joy of Paintball. For everyone listening, this is Sean Vera. He is an artist, and we're going to dive into what that means, because it's not just it's not what you would consider traditional artists necessarily. There's some of the traditional art, but then you have a kind of a cool little twist you do to some stuff that we'll talk about. But yeah. Dude, thanks so much for being on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, that's awesome.
So also, anyone who's a avid paintball player, Sean he sponsored the most creative move of the event, and you did a really cool painting of, was it
Thank you.
Grayson Gladstone?
Yeah, Grayson, yeah. Yep.
Dude, so what's your connection to paintball? I see you wearing the Brute hat too. So
yeah, and I got one of the last orders of the Brute soap, and I got to get that all set up in the gallery that I have.
Nice.
I was selling for them, but yeah, it's really just I started playing paintball in it would have been right around 2001, 2002,
Okay.
and just fell in love with it, and it's been one of my favorite things to do ever since. And I took a long break, but yeah, started in, like I said, 2001, 2002, somewhere around there. And
That was the golden age, man.
yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. A buddy of mine had moved to town, and he had it was like a brass eagle, something,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, what's this, and then we start messing with it, and then come to find out my dad had some paintball guns. And
What?
so, and I didn't even know. And so he had two of those Splatmasters, those green, it's like a pistol.
Yeah.
They're kind of like one of the first paintball pistols, I think, set up as far as forward playing paintball.
Okay.
He had two of those, and then this old, I want to say it was those SMG 60s, or I don't remember exactly what it was called, but the CO2 tank would screw into the bottom of the handle, and then that had a butt plate on it almost.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I remember that.
you'd almost hold it like a rifle.
Yeah.
And
That's
so, yeah, went around, messed with those, played a few games. We would play paintball in gravel pits, is what we'd play in.
gravel. Okay.
So I grew up in Nebraska, Sydney, Nebraska, small town, but there's a lot of farmers, and all those farms out there would have these big gravel pits dug out in the ground, and we would set hay bales and spindles, pallets, all that stuff, and just go down in there and play. It was wild.
That's awesome.
It was so
dude.
fun. But yeah,
That's the best.
yeah.
Homemade, just sort of fields made on the fly. Those
Oh yeah,
are the best
yeah,
memories, dude.
yeah, yeah, the best. And then from
Here's
there
the real
got
question: how many of y'all were wearing any sort of eye protection?
well, actually, so I've got the very first time, and I used it once, and then I was too afraid. I
Yeah.
had my dad's. It was just
No.
one of those in the goggles.
Yeah,
And
dude.
then he had
It's
this other
the
one.
bill of a hat. It looks
Yeah,
like.
yeah,
Wow.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then I had this other one that was it was real big. It was like a big, bulky, crazy mask that
Was
had
it
like,
one of those brass eagle ones that like just covered everything?
well, it like would cover the top of your, not the top of your head, but like kind of there,
Yeah.
full face, and then giant lens. They were
Yeah.
hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then eventually I got my first Envision, Dye Envisions, but it's all
Yeah.
deteriorating now.
Dang.
But, yeah,
Those were the best too. Those I
yeah,
love those Envisions.
yep,
Dang, man. All right. Well, hey, y'all had eye protection. That's more than most.
yeah,
Good job.
yeah.
So sweet, man. So yeah. Sorry, I kind of just like jumped right in. You're from Nebraska. You started in 2002. Did you ever do like
Yeah.
tournament stuff? Like,
Yeah,
what's the
so
evolution of your
yeah, so
tournament?
immediately we were just playing in gravel pits, and we would have like if anybody had a ranch that had woods, we were setting up pallets and
Nice.
same thing, pallet spindles, wheelbarrows, like tires, anything we could find to like make a bunker.
Yeah.
And then I got my first gun, which was the Tippmann A5, and then
Yeah.
I've since
You
then
picked that
I've
out. That's
yeah, I hydro dipped it and put like of course that was like the time to put like big drop forwards and
Oh yeah.
stuff. And
It's not
so
one of the flame ones, so I don't know if
right, yeah, that's true.
it.
And then
Dude, the drop
we
forwards
went
were nuts. Those,
yeah.
you remember the view loader swivel cradles? I thought those were
Oh,
the coolest ones. They were
yeah.
so tough.
Yeah. All that stuff like
Yeah.
was really I went through and kind of fixed up my auto cocker because at the time it was cool and I had the most insane drop forward. Like the gun was like so short when it was
Yeah.
all put together. It was hilarious
Yeah.
looking back, but
The whole silhouette of a player back then was something
yeah,
else. That's
way
ridiculous.
different. Yeah. So
Oh,
yeah, we go ahead.
I'm reminiscing about I think it was the Z grip on the mini mags. Do you
Oh, there
remember
was
that?
like
The,
a
like inverted one?
yeah,
Like, what were we thinking? I don't even.
yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
There was a lot of
Yeah.
experiments, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then we went to there's a place in Greeley, Colorado called Action Pursuit Paintball. Um,
Okay.
and they would just do scenario games. It's not there anymore. It closed down. I don't remember when it closed down, but it was awesome, and it was scenario games. But during lunch, the owner and I think it was his daughter, they were playing on a speedball course,
Ooh.
and it was like off on the edge of the woods, like none of us had ever seen anything like that. And so of course I'm like, what is this? Like this looks awesome. And then from there on, like I don't think I did another scenario game. It was like anytime he held tournaments that I think he would hold them like once a month. He held speedball tournaments. And
Nice.
it was like he did some kind of like MPPL, the old school X ball, kind of that type of platform. It was a little different though, and it was eventually he built an indoor facility, and it was massive, and there was two fields inside that indoor. It was all gravel,
Oh no.
like there was
Oh no.
it was just a gravel, and I just thought that's how it was. I thought this is how speedball is. It's gravel, and
Yeesh.
yeah, and he had an X ball field in there with the big X, and then he had an old
Oh.
MPPL field with like the snake that looked like a snake.
Mm-hmm.
He had one of
Yeah.
those in there. Yeah,
Dang. So this is not okay. You're rocking my world. Like indoor with gravel and airball. Like
yeah, and
whoa.
it was huge. It was a huge building, just a giant steel building, and dark. There was like the lighting was terrible. There was like
Yeah, of
sunlight,
course.
like skylights. So then there would just be pockets of light beaming, and then anytime
Oh
someone
no.
would run by, there's just dust. And like, yeah, I've watched. We took a ton of videos back then. We would video them on like little cassette recorders, and
Yeah.
you go back and watch them. It's like, how did we play in there? It's so dark, and then just bright beams of
Yeah.
light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if any of y'all had tinted lenses, it was over, I'm
Oh
sure.
yeah, which we
Yeah.
did because that was the cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Tinted, mirrored lenses, and then you can't see anything.
Oh.
And we were like, high schoolers, so we didn't have we should have. We didn't like. We pulled that clear lens out and chucked it, like
Oh no.
never to be seen again. So it was like, well, we can't even swap it back in. Like we didn't have it. Yeah,
Dang, man.
yeah,
Right on. So
yeah.
did that ever evolve into like did you ever do any of the circuits like NXL or PSP or
No, and like we wanted to start doing more and more, and it was like we would play um, pretty much any tournament that he held. We would try and go to that tournament, and
nice.
I think our last, and it was just a group of us buddies, and I've still got some of our old jerseys.
Nice.
Like we had JT, and then I've got an uh, old school dye jersey with my name on it still and everything. So
Yeah,
it's like it's awesome
dude.
to
Those
still have.
I have a red one of those because I remember I think they were pushing like, hey, we'll customize it for you on the back if you want.
Right, yeah.
And our my uncle got the red ones for my cousins and I, and we were team fat ass for some inside joke. But like they put this big dude on a bicycle and our names on the back and like that was pretty cool back then.
It was cool, yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it. And then we switched to JT. We got the barbed wire. It
Yeah.
was our next jersey.
Those hold
Yeah,
up too. Those
yeah,
stood the test of time for sure.
yeah. It was great. But yeah,
So
then we hit like I want to say it was May of 2007. Our senior year in high school was our last tournament as a team, and we ended up getting like a small sponsorship through Cabela's,
nice.
um, and which was pretty cool. And it was like just a monetary. It was a check, and
Oh wait, dude.
and then they put Cabela's on our jerseys and everything.
Hell yeah.
Um, it's pretty cool. But after that tournament, it was like some of the guys, started like fizzling out. They're like, I
Hmm.
can't afford it anymore. I can't do it. And then I ended up, we all graduated, moved cities and stuff, and then just kind of all fell apart. We never really played ever again. So,
Dang.
and then I've picked up and just played it like just recreational, go meet up with some buddies, and
Right
that's
on.
about it. But
Have you gotten to
yeah,
play on not gravel yet?
yeah, but never good. It's always terrible.
Oh
The
man.
like no matter where I've played, the ground is awful. Like I've never played
Oh.
on like a nice green field.
Oh
Like
yeah.
yeah,
I don't know that those exist anymore. Everyone's gone to turf, and even when they do
right.
exist, it's like one tournament and then the grass is done.
Just toast anyways,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Everywhere I've played, it's like, I mean, they don't. I don't think they dedicate any time to cleaning the ground. Like it's just
Yeah.
where yeah. But yeah, we just and throughout all of high school, um, we knew that our tournaments were on gravel, so and we didn't have access to like a practice field. We ended up turning our woods ball fields into a speedball field.
Nice.
So like we found a big flat-ish field, and the center 50 was like a giant. It was a giant cottonwood tree was the center 50, and then we built a snake out of tires. Our Doritos were out of pallets. It was like that was our practice, and it was horrible ground. And then we would run drills at baseball fields. We would just go out to the diamond because we're like we're sliding on gravel.
Yeah.
Everything's on gravel, so we would just draw out half a field on a baseball diamond and just run drills of just no guns,
Dude.
like no paint. Like we'd hold
Yeah.
our guns, just running slides and whatever. Yeah.
I hope there's some young folks listening to like how good they have it. Like
Right. Yeah.
I'm in Texas, so I don't know if you're familiar with like Paintball Fit and
Right.
their
Yeah.
field. And there's, I mean, I think every tournament field has a turf field now,
Dang. Yeah.
and it did not used to be that way. It used to be like, I mean, you can go snake if you want. I looked for different types of I looked for metal stakes from previous layouts just to be sure, but you never know. You might slide right up on one, and it happened several times. Like it was just kind of, I mean, the Wild West, I suppose you could say. And then even like what y'all are doing, like going to like off location to go practice and
Yeah, yeah,
making the fields the way you need them to be in the woods. Like that's what it's all about, if you ask me.
yeah. It was
Like,
awesome. I mean,
yeah,
we'd have to
like
clear the field. We'd have to kick like cow pies out of the way, dig up cactuses, like little prickly
yeah,
pears, get that out of the way. And we didn't have like Cabela's could fill CO2 because we had Cabela's in Sydney.
hmm,
Greeley was like 2.5, 3 hours away was the
okay,
nearest field. So all of our guns that took compressed air, we'd fill up our tanks, but
hmm,
that would mean we'd only have that fill to practice,
yeah,
and then we would have to revert back to our CO2 guns, like our
hmm.
Tippmans and stuff, and that's what we would play with because that was the
Oh,
only thing we could refill. And then any of that nice like tournament paint that we had then,
yeah.
once that was out, then we were back to Cabela's picking up marbleizers and
Ooh.
whatever we could get there.
At
But
least you got
yeah.
marbleized there. I did like. I thought you were about to say like the bucket. Do you remember those?
Oh yeah, yeah, we had those too. Like, because sometimes marbleizers just weren't in stock.
Yeah.
There was those, and there was these bags of blue paint. They were
Yeah.
terrible.
Just like greasy, oily. For
Yeah,
those of you listening that may not be familiar with the bucket, this you could go to Walmart and get a literal bucket, like your Home Depot sized 5 gallon bucket filled with like 4,000 rounds for like $20.
yeah.
And
And you
it
and your
was
buddies just
this
scoop out of it.
oh, it was the worst
Yeah,
paint. It wasn't breaking on anything. And
yeah,
I mean, but it would shoot and spun.
yeah.
So
Well, and us buddies, like especially with like our Titmans, because it's so easy. And I mean, even other guns are so easy. When we were playing with our buddies, as soon as we'd leave the tournaments, all of us are
yeah.
we're just cranking them up and just blasting each other. But yeah,
Ooh.
yeah,
Oh, that's fun, man. I love it. That's like our timelines kind of line up. Uh, I think I got into it tournament wise like '04, but like '99, '01, that era was my first time like playing. And
yeah,
my buddy's like he had a lot of land. We played in his backyard. And then tournament was like '04 through like 2010, I think. And so it was. I mean, those were great years. And the I think I want to talk about. Well, I don't want to jump too far. Sorry. So is this
no, you're
where your paintball journey kind of stops?
kind of like it was still like all I could think about, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have anywhere to play, didn't have friends to play with, so like I just catch myself just digging the guns out and just looking at them, enjoying them, like,
Mm,
and this it's System X,
yeah.
so yeah, and then
Oh my
sticky on it, and then it
gosh.
has a die ultralight
Of
frame
course.
on it, because I
Oh,
couldn't ever get the actual die autococker that I wanted.
yeah.
It was like the first gun that like when I was like, okay, we're playing speedball.
Yeah.
I had to get an autococker,
Of
and
course.
like I couldn't afford
Yeah.
the die, so I got the System X. And then next up, my favorite gun that I still wish I had, and I don't have one yet, is a DM4. And like
Oh,
just my
those
dream to
were
get,
the
and like now they're way more affordable. I should just buy one, but so then I ended up with the Ion
dude.
instead of a
Ions are don't sleep on an ion. That's I did a
no.
little like so Smart Parts Factory was local to us, so, and
Oh, okay.
they all played with ions. Like the team, I think there might have been a few that played with shockers, but I think a majority of them had to play with ions, and those were the best. Like they were designed to be like upgraded, and
Yeah,
like they were cheap as a cheap entry point, and you still
right.
like. I mean, gosh, those are great guns. The
Yeah,
DM4 though, like the sound profile on the DM4, you you can't match that. It was the
they're
coolest
the
sounding
best. It was
gun,
cool.
and
Yeah.
it's so accurate and no kick, and
They were so
yeah,
awesome. Yeah.
yeah,
And actually it's so funny. I found a couple of my old drawings from when I first got into paintball, and like I was drawing like paintballs and they're from around that 2001, 2002. It's hard to
yeah.
see.
You got the big
But
X
like
in the back. Nice.
that guy's got a DM4. Like this whole team, you can kind of I don't know if you can see them. They've got DM4s like
Yeah.
and then
Y'all
the
y'all had to start up here with your guns over your shoulder.
Yeah,
That's like
yeah.
7 man. That's old 7 man. Yeah.
And then those guys got Angels.
Dude, these are great. I
They're
love the
fun. Yeah,
depth
they're
going on in
hilarious.
there.
They're
Like
like,
that's fun, man.
yeah. And my dream was like, oh, eventually I'm gonna play paintball tournaments in the mountains. Like that was my dream goal was to be. And now I live in the mountains, but like,
Yeah.
I don't have paintball going on. But at least I got the mountains. But
Where do you live? Like,
I live
sorry.
in Loveland, Colorado.
Loveland. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I and I know nothing about Colorado. I know the Air Force Academy is out of there because I played college paintball, and we would always come up against the Air Force guys a lot.
Oh,
And
that's
they
cool.
would
Yeah.
come. I don't know where they came out of from Colorado, but I know it was based in Colorado. Like I think Blitz, is that the name? There was a D.
That's like, I think so. That sounds
Okay.
familiar. And I'm, somewhat familiar with everything, but not super. I just moved out here in June, but
Okay. Okay.
got,
Yeah.
yeah. So my wife's family's all from here and everything. So we were always traveling, finally just moved. But
Nice.
yeah. So,
Dude, that's fun.
yeah.
So, all right. So then, art comes in. Like, it looks like it was in your life. Those sketches. I mean, you said they were from 2001. It was
2000,
like high
yeah,
school
right.
for you.
Yeah, or I guess the DM4s would have been whenever those came out. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
But
talk to me about art, man. How's that?
yeah,
When did
it's just
that
been
enter?
something I've done forever, ever since I was a little kid. Just love drawing, and I think I used to draw and do clay sculptures the most is what I would do, and it kind of came from just like if I couldn't stop thinking about it, the best way to handle it was just draw it,
Just do
or
it.
like with like I played with action figures a ton as a kid, and if I didn't have the vehicle or the gun that they needed, I just would sculpt it out of clay, bake it, paint it, and then I would have it. And
That's
like,
amazing. I love
yeah,
that.
so
Yeah.
I don't, I wish I had some of those vehicles still. Like I had a whole collection of vehicles that I had spaceships and stuff that I just sculpted out of clay, baked it. Yeah, it was
Hell
awesome.
yeah, man.
But that was like probably part of it, and like just wanting to get like my thoughts on something physical. Um,
Nice.
yeah, and I think
I
art
love
was the
that.
easiest way to just do that. So,
Right on. So, and now, like, now you're. Did I see that you have like a residency somewhere, or is that
so
just
I own an art gallery now.
no
I just
way?
opened that up. Yeah, so once we moved out here to Colorado in June, started working on it and got it opened up in August. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
August. So yeah.
I have so many questions. Like that's like a dream to own a gallery. Like
Yeah. Well,
to.
so
It's-
with related with the paintball, like when my wife and I started looking at moving out here to Colorado, the two things I was going to do, because I was going to make a huge career change regardless.
Yeah.
So I was either going to open up a paintball facility or open up an art gallery. And it was like we started, writing up business plans and everything for both, and then figuring out the logistics of each. And like, as far as opening of a paintball field, like out here in this county, they don't have any written like land use for outdoor recreation that's commercial. So you're going to be making a profit. They don't have it. So like when it comes to like trying to set up a paintball field, they're like, I don't know. You could buy the land, do it all, and then like write an
Might say
apology
no.
letter, and then we might say no.
Oh gosh.
So
Yeah.
it's still something that like it's still a goal. It's still a dream that
Dude.
and I've got a speedball field. I got a set of bunkers that
What?
like yeah, and so like
That's awesome.
for like my son's birthday parties and stuff, we'll air him up and like have Nerf, and he's gonna have a Gel Blaster party and like
Hell yeah.
so
Can I
yeah,
come?
it's just yeah, you're invited. Yeah,
Yeah. That's
So.
awesome.
yeah.
Dude. So
But then the art gallery was like we found a spot, a building that was gonna work, and like I knew because that was the other thing. Regardless if I opened a gallery or not, I knew my art would do better out here in Colorado in
Oh,
the
yeah.
foothills of the Rockies than it would in the city that I was in. So it was like
where were you
regardless,
before?
Lincoln, Nebraska.
Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and so we just knew like the type of art I'm doing, everything that I'm I'm trying to push. It's going to do better here, and
Hmm.
so found the building, and it was perfect.
I've seen
So then,
like
yeah,
I've seen the just some photos, and I saw the golly, I can't think of what it's called, the little spiral walking path that you made.
oh
The
right, yeah,
what is that
yeah,
called? I can't. The labyrinth. Sorry, there we go. Like, yeah, dude, your setup looks amazing.
yeah, it's
So,
pretty awesome.
for the
Yeah,
people listening, Sean does like he does traditional painting. He's got some in the back. I encourage y'all to go to YouTube and like look
yeah,
at some of his stuff, or actually just go to his Instagram, Vera Art Outdoors. Is that right?
art and outdoors, yeah, but
Vera
yeah,
Art and Outdoors, and
yeah,
you can see all of his stuff. He does amazing paintings, and he also does amazing paintings on rocks. And it seems like he kind of just like leave those little gems for folks sometimes. Is that
yeah, and like I've got them, kind of strewed about outside of the gallery, and yeah, they're awesome. They're super fun to paint on. It's just sandstone, and a lot of times they'll have. Uh,
yeah,
this one doesn't have a painting on it, but they'll have like the lichen
yeah,
left on it, and I'll kind of incorporate that into paintings and stuff. And
nice.
yeah,
And guys, I'm not like it's not. People may hear rock painting and think, oh, he did these cool sort of Aboriginal looking designs on there. No, these are like incredible. I saw one with this deer buck on there that was
yeah.
like expertly done. Like you're very
Thank you,
talented. So
thank you.
I just have like paintball nerd and art nerd are like zoning in right now, and I just have so many
Yeah,
questions. Sorry, man, if I'm
yeah.
play.
No, yeah, no. I've got that as a problem. Is like I nerd out on so many things and get so zoned in on like all these different. It's like I'm also like really into backpack hunting and
Yeah,
archery and like all that. Like
dang
so I'm
man.
like a yeah, an artist into paintball. I'm super into like Star Wars stuff, like
Of
nerd
course.
out on that.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, so it's a problem. I
all
got
the
too many things
things.
going on. Yeah.
Oh, you have all the right things. You haven't said I've got like the video game obsession and the whatever. Like, not that it's bad, but like
Although if they
you
had
live
some
up to
like
the.
paid people to play N64 a little bit, I might be there.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
dude. What was your game? Bond.
It, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Dude, I don't know. Did you ever play 1080,
What was that?
the snowboarding game?
Oh, snowboard. I had the demo. I never had
Okay.
the, yeah, and I can still hear like the sound of the snowboards on the snow,
Hmm.
like the
Yeah,
like yeah. I never ended up buying the full game, but I loved the
dude.
demo. I played the demo over and over again.
Yeah. Well, I just saw. Oh, sorry, my Alexa thing. Oh, sorry. Um, sorry, weird tangent. I just saw like some dude. I don't even know what it's like a 2360 or whatever. Like, dude just did a big air in the current X Games, and
Oh, really?
it looked like a freaking helicopter. It was just like took me back to 1080. This dude just like just spinning
Yeah.
nonstop.
Between like all of the level of like snowboarding, skateboarding, BMX, the level everybody's at nowadays is insane. Like
Yeah,
where I was at skateboarding is like
yeah,
where 5-year-olds are starting. I'm like, yeah,
yeah. What the hell? Yeah.
yeah.
And like the people now have surpassed the video games that we played,
Oh yeah,
where we're
yeah,
like doing like we have all the cheat codes, and they're like, oh yeah, I can do that in real life.
yeah,
So you skateboarded too, huh?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dude,
So that was yeah,
just did it all.
yeah.
Dang. All right. Super duper like super long tangent. Sorry. Back to the gallery. So you like pulled the trigger. You guys came out, and you said your wife has family out in Colorado.
Yeah, her whole family lives out here,
Okay.
so it was like it was an pretty easy decision, and it's
Hmm.
closer to my family now.
Oh, good.
Now it's like a 2.5 hour drive to my family instead of a 5.5 hour drive. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Dang. And so y'all get the gallery, and like, is this a you only thing or like a family thing?
just me. Yeah, my wife, she helps obviously,
Yeah.
but other than that, yeah. And then I've got I've got artist members, but they're not like a part of, they display in the gallery, and then but I'm the owner in the, because I know some galleries will be like a co-op, like each member becomes kind of an owner.
Yeah.
I don't, yeah, that's not how mine goes. So
Yeah. I don't blame you. That sounds
complicated.
I've met a lot of artists. They're kind of not the greatest with money.
Yeah, we're all a little bit terrible in one way or another.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got the gallery, and then talk to me about this the creative move that you did.
Yeah, so that was something where like with my actual like all the art that I do that I, as far as that I'm like posting and sharing for my Vera Art and Outdoors, like that's really, I'm trying to just keep that to a certain style and realm. But there's tons of other stuff that I like to do art of.
Yeah.
And then I really wanted to figure out, like, I've always kind of used art as as a sneaky way to get into something else. Like, because because like I know how to do art, like I can relate that to my other interests. And so whether it's getting into like skateboarding, like, well, I can paint on skateboards and I can get skaters interested. And so I painted on skateboards like a ton. That's what I did for a long time. And then I've done that with like hunting or whatever it is. Like I can do that, and it's an interest that I have anyways. It's not like I'm faking it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I could do something for paintball. That would be awesome. I really want to get back involved in it. It's not like I'm going to be able to go play like anything serious anyways.
I feel that, yeah.
And so like if I could somehow figure out a way, and like I don't remember what it was. I was listening to one of the I don't know if it was a podcast with Tom on it, or if it was even just one of the live feeds for like one of the majors. And maybe Maddie had mentioned something about like needing more sponsors, needing outside sponsors. I was like, well, I'm an outside sponsor.
There you go.
And like, I shoot him a message, and they like set me up to talk to, at the time it was Isaac. And so I start talking with him, and then Maddie, and kind of explain the idea. And I only did the one event. I want to keep doing it. I just got to figure out the better way to do it, and I don't know, how well it was received for sure or not. I mean, I think Grayson loved it.
Yeah.
And I think with it being, I just did it the one time, like it's still maybe like kind of unsure what was even going on, but it was something that, between me, Isaac, and Maddie, we kind of came up with the most creative move, just to relate it to my art with the whole creative part of it. One of my slogans is get creative, get outdoors. And that's a slogan through my Vera Art and Outdoors, and also now my art gallery is get creative, get outdoors. So that creative part, we kind of tied that in.
Nice.
Yeah, and I didn't even for sure know exactly what route I was going to go with that painting. I thought about, and maybe I should have done it this way, I thought about, because I didn't know what the painting was going to be or who it was going to be for until they announced it.
Yeah.
When they announced it, it was Grayson for that 1-on-3.
I think so. Yeah, I'd have to go back and look. But
I think it was 1-on-3. All I know is the last person he shot out was Taylor Thomas, which for me, I was like, Taylor Thomas, like that's so dope that he's related somehow to this painting.
Yeah.
Even though he's not the one who won it, I'm like, because when I played, I was the snake guy. Being 6'2" was a terrible idea. Like I was too big to be playing snake, but I loved it. It was so fun. Like snake was my favorite, but so like Taylor Thomas was a guy I always followed.
Yeah.
And so then I thought about taking it with, because I ended up titling that painting Troll Slayer, because he was the last one they took out.
Yeah.
And so one of the concepts I had thought about was doing like, I do these characters.
Yeah.
Doing like a kind of a character version of Grayson holding a troll.
Oh,
that he had slayed.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't know. This is NXL. I'm trying to kind of keep it somewhat professional with relation to the NXL. And
Yeah.
so I went the route I went, which I love that painting. I think that painting turned out awesome. Um,
Yeah. It did turn out
and
awesome. It is.
and like I built that panel
Hmm.
in the shape of the Vegas logo
Yeah.
for the Vegas Major. But um,
Did I see you shooting it also after you
yeah,
painted it?
so I shot
What?
so that was something that I was already working on before I had even planned the paintball thing. Was I wanted to see if I can start making a line of paintings that I shoot paintballs at.
Hmm.
And like obviously paintballs aren't paint; they're not real
Yeah.
paint. So
Don't I
which I
know
don't
it?
even.
How many people have been
So
like have like asked you to like make a painting? Oh, you should make a painting with paintballs and like
yeah, I know, right?
just shoot it. Like, guys.
Yeah, and so they
It's-
and what I used to do when I was playing all the time, I mean I painted my whole garage with paintballs, like
oh
that
man.
was, and my basement, my bedroom wall, and
Yeah.
like obviously I still have that cranked up, so there's some holes in the drywall still to this day in my mom's basement that has super old paint from 2002, 2003, and
E-
holes, because I was like, oh yeah, it's just oily a mess. But
Yeah.
so what I ended up doing, this was my first test run that I had
Really?
practiced with, and after, so what I ended up doing was, you know those,
How did that? So how is that stain? How's that not oily?
so it's not paintballs, so
Okay.
they're
All right.
they're
Like,
those clear plastic capsules that people will put like mace, pepper spray, whatever
mhm.
inside of the plastic balls. Have you ever seen those?
I no, I haven't. But I
Um,
believe you. I believe they're a thing.
yeah, let me grab one.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, I still have one left over from Grayson's painting. So it's got the NXL yellow inside of it.
Oh my
But
gosh.
what it was is, if I can even open it, it might be dried shut. They're a clear plastic shell,
Uh-huh.
and they come in two halves.
Okay.
And so then I would mix my acrylic paint and fill up these two halves, and
Dang.
then you snap them together, um, and then yeah, and then it's actual acrylic paint. Um,
Okay.
and so I
That's
messed with
awesome.
like the the like thickness of the paint. I would mix with like different mediums and stuff, or
Hmm.
like how full to get like the best splat. And then I ended up doing like I don't know if this video still exists, but all of the paint was applied to this with paintballs, and then I went back in and
Okay.
like touched it up with brushes to
Gotcha.
give like for the mushrooms and the leaves, but like the rest of it was all I just like loaded
Whoa,
this up
man.
with just
Dude.
all paintballs. So so it's got a ton of texture and like
So you
shells are
did
stuck
it.
in it and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's how on Grayson's those are actually just those clear capsules full of yellow acrylic paint that so
Wait,
it's not
time
like
out. So you shot the paint and then manipulated it for
not
that
on
painting?
not on Grayson's but on this one, yeah.
Okay. All right. I was
Yeah.
like, dang. Like,
No, I wanted to, but I was like, that's gonna be so much work. Like,
yeah.
so on his, I was like, how can I do this? So I ended up just shooting like a little accent edge that is where his name and number is. I
Gotcha.
ended up putting
Dude.
in behind where
Okay.
that was. So
All right. I thought you were just like throwing like a. I thought you put like some sort of cool varnish on there that like protected it, and then just shot it, and were like, check this out. But
no, yeah,
no,
no,
you
it's
like
actually
straight
yeah,
up, dude.
yeah.
That's like revolutionary. That's
It was pretty
amazing, man.
fun. Yeah, it was funny too because like that was back in Lincoln, so we're in town. So it's like in the video you can see like my kids' trampoline and like my
Oh
neighbors'
yeah,
houses,
yeah.
everything. And like I had to set it up quick. I had my sons helping me. I'm like, all right, as soon because like in at least in Lincoln, like you're not supposed to be shooting paintball guns in town.
Yeah,
And
most towns.
I think
Yeah.
yeah. So like I was like, some of my neighbors are pretty cool, but some might call this in if
Yeah.
I'm out here too long. So like we hurried up, did that, and then I had them help me like scramble, pick everything up, and yeah, it was pretty funny. But
Right on.
yeah.
All right. So, like, did you go to school for art at all, or like, how did you get into art at the level you are now?
So I went just regular high school stuff.
Okay.
But then when I was in high school, I got this job offer. So there's Cabela's.
Mm-hmm.
Sydney is home of Cabela's. So the owners, Dick and Mary Cabela, they lived there in Sydney. Um, and they were building a giant private home mansion. And they hired a muralist who, his name's Jess Nelson. They hired him to come do wildlife murals throughout their entire house. And he came to Sydney, set out feelers, like got a hold of the art teachers, art instructors, like, hey, if you know any artists, let me know because I need to hire them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was one of them that they had given the name to. And so I brought in some, and at the time I didn't paint much. Like I didn't start painting really until probably my, I don't know, junior, senior year. Otherwise, I mostly drew and sculpted, other than just like whatever the school had me do, but like on my own time.
Mm-hmm.
So for him, as far as like wildlife art, what I had was like some pastel drawings of quail, some like charcoal drawings of deer, stuff like that, to take to him, because otherwise everything else was crazy. It was like there's like I dug up some of my old art so I was early on I was inspired by Salvador Dali, so like kind of weird stuff. So like there's a pistol where it's got angel wing and then like a demon wing on one side.
Yeah, yeah.
And like kind of, I mean, my idea behind that's like they're used both ways, good and
Yeah.
evil.
Yeah.
And then there's like kind of a weird abstracty dude,
Yeah.
like, and
Some gas
just weird.
masks and stuff. Yeah.
And then I did you know that painting
Yeah.
at all?
Master
So I,
copy. Yeah. Is
so I
that
did.
is that Dolly or Magritte? I can't
I
remember.
can't remember for sure, but
Okay.
either way, I did like a copy of that
Yeah.
thing, and then did my own like
Oh,
opposite version of it.
dude.
But yeah, so like I didn't have
Nice.
anything to take. This guy's looking for wildlife murals. Like I
Yeah.
can't take him that stuff, so I took him some charcoal drawings, and either way, I got hired. So
Yeah.
so for the next 5 years, I painted like life-size wildlife murals with this muralist.
What?
And
Dude,
so he
that's
kind
awesome.
of, yeah, he kind of became like my mentor, like the guy who, taught me a lot of little tricks. And like when you're painting on a massive scale of a mural, like you have, like a ton of sky and then like way, way off trees. Like there's a ton of layering that you end up learning, that I was able to learn from him. And then things like just everything in that mansion's rounded corners.
Oh
So if it's
man.
like an outside corner, it's rounded. If it's an inside corner.
Yeah.
And
Concave,
so
convex,
we
whatever.
would,
Yeah.
yeah. So like any of those concaves, the best way to hide that is to put a tree there. But then that means you got to try and make that tree look like it's convex in a concave.
Oh
So like a lot of like cool tricks that he helped, teach me, and then also just like patience, because this painting's about to take 5 years. Like,
that's
yeah.
like, did he tell you like, hey, we're gonna be here for a while, or
Well, he had already been there for, I think it was just under a year. And then, I mean, you can just tell. You walk in and you're like, okay, so we're starting here in this rainforest. We've got to go through Africa, North America. We got to go over here to Antarctica, and then there was Australia, New Zealand, more Africa, and then there's a lion bar, and then upstairs there's another bar. So there's the watering hole in Africa. So like you just look at it and you're like, oh yeah, we're gonna be here forever. Like,
yeah, dude, and you
yeah.
got that in high school? That's
Yeah, so
amazing.
like I worked I worked with him for, yeah, the last few years of my high school, and then till 2009. I graduated in '07, but yeah,
Wow,
so yeah.
that's like props to so. And your art teacher like set you up with that, or you just kind of
Yeah, one
stumbled
of my
over it?
art, I think it was either my art teacher or this family friend. My dad used to do a lot of, and he's kind of does them still. He used to do a lot of like theater plays.
Hmm.
And so I would go there, and then eventually they'd have me help paint backdrops and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but the lady involved with all that, I think she's actually the one that gave my name. But
Okay.
yeah, either way,
Still,
yeah,
that's awesome, dude.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm just like wrapping my head around that. Sorry, dude. Okay. And then so do you sort of like start to like cultivate your own style while you're doing this stuff, or I mean, you
Yeah,
sort of yeah.
yeah, a little bit. Like I for sure start to like hone in my ability to like paint and build depth and like change and build shadows and like understand lighting and all of that through painting those murals. Um, and really like the layering and all of that kind of came because of that job, which I had no business having, but like
No, man, you
as
did
soon
it.
as I, yeah, as soon as I got in, like it worked out.
That's so cool. What was his name? Sorry.
Jess, Jess Nelson, he actually lives there in Fort Worth.
Oh,
Um,
really? Okay.
yeah, and I've got his art in my gallery, which is cool. Like
That's
it's
super.
cool to have, and he's that guy. He was like art director for Barney.
Oh
He's
gosh.
done tons of stuff. Like he's also like,
Barney like the purple dinosaur?
yeah, yeah,
Whoa,
yeah.
okay.
So he helped
All
with
right.
like a ton of the costume design, the puppetry, and like the backdrop, the set, all of that stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice, man.
He has a documentary on him that just came out a month ago. Um,
Sweet. I'll have to check
I
that
can't
out.
remember what the documentary is called, but Jess Nelson's in there. I'm sure that name is in there in
All
the
right.
title.
Yeah. I'll check him out for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, while we're talking about it, I everyone that comes on, I ask them two questions. Who is an artist that we need to know? And then what was a piece that stopped you in the tracks? It can be current, it could be the first one you remember, or it could be multiple.
Yeah. I mean, as far as artists that people should know, I mean, Jess is one of them. And like, that's so tough though, because what people's interest in art is so different. So like, you know, to tell people like, oh, you gotta check this out, and they might not even be into that kind of art.
No,
Um,
but it's like so I love that like that I like that you're cognizant of that, but still like there's artists that I see, I'm an art teacher full time, so like whenever I run across an artist and like or if I learn something about an artist I used to hate or still kind of hate, but I know it's important, like
yeah.
Andy Warhol, uh, I like don't care for his work, but I love his like punk rock mentality. I'm like, hey,
Oh, right.
you guys need to know this. You need to know that he was like poking fun of the people that were profiting off him. Like, this is a big deal, and so I
Yeah.
think it's like, this is your chance. Like, hey, you know, uh, who's someone that we got to know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously I can't name any of my artists because then I'd have to name all of my artists that are in the
Oh,
gallery. Um,
oh,
so check out all those guys. But
okay, okay, okay.
like
I'll.
obviously, yeah. Um, Jess Nelson, just for his history and like the things he's done, because he's done so much. Like it's wild.
Okay.
Um, from murals to silver sculptures to working on Barney, like it's just so many things.
Yeah, that's a pretty
It's kind
wide
of
breadth right there.
yeah. Um, I'm trying to think as far as other artists that people should know about specifically. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough because lately I've been so like so focused on looking for artists and finding artists that fit the theme of my gallery, which is wilderness,
Hmm.
wilderness inspired. So like right now, my brain, all I can think about is like all these wilderness inspired artists that I've been hunting down, like trying to
Yeah.
find and like meet. Um, but I've gotten most of them in the gallery, so I don't want to,
Yeah.
So like,
Okay.
yeah, there's one that I haven't got him, so let's just call him out. And he lives here in my town. His name's J.R. Hess, and he
Okay.
does color pencil of animals and stuff that they look like photos,
Gotcha.
like
Okay.
to where like maybe it's a bird. The bird is perfectly in focus, but everything else is out of focus, like a photo, but it's all color pencil. It's pretty wild.
JRS.
Yeah,
All right. I'll put him down.
yeah.
Sweet. All right. Well, and then what is a piece of art that like the first piece or just any piece that you like had a moment like you stopped you in your tracks. You're like, I gotta. This is demanding my attention.
Yeah, I think um, early on, like what I was always super like impressed with, or like really had to like understand, would be the concept art for Star Wars. So the
Oh,
artists are
okay.
like the original artist was Ralph McQuarrie,
Okay.
and then there's that was from the original set of movies.
Hmm.
And then from like that next set of movies was Doug Chang, and both of them are like they're so interesting because they're working on uh, paintings that are like supposed to be futuristic and super sci-fi and interesting, and they both of them are really good at it's crazy. They'll have you know it's hard to explain. They're working on like they're given a task of like okay design a bunch of stuff for this way off or this way long ago but yet futuristic thing
Yeah.
that is like technology that we don't have, and they'll have a like a combination of super like organic life but then also super sci-fi like really technical spaceships involved,
Yeah.
and like the two are so clashing, and like they'll have like the most perfect skyscape of clouds and then like hard lines of spaceship. It's just
Yeah.
kind of crazy. And as a kid, like growing up, that was like what I was always watching this like bonus features of every movie I watched. That is what
Hmm.
I would do.
Yeah, man.
And like that art stuff was like, oh, how
Yeah.
did they get that crisp or like that whatever it was? Yeah.
Yeah. Kids don't know about the special features on DVDs. They don't.
Well, and like
Yeah.
VHS, like
Oh yeah.
yeah. I've got Huntington Beach recorded on a VHS. Uh,
What,
yeah, it's awesome.
dude?
Yeah,
That's pretty dope. But
yeah,
which one? So that must have been the sand, like when they were in the
yeah,
sand. Oh
yeah,
man. Okay.
yeah. And there's like I think there was Naughty Dogs in that tournament, and yeah, it's awesome.
Nice, dude.
But yeah, anyways, back to the artist. But yeah,
Yeah.
those guys. Um, yeah, and I mean, like, forget all your thoughts of if you do or do not like Star Wars. Like, leave all that out, but just like look at the art and like
Yeah.
understand like those guys were given a task from some guy. Like, okay, I want this super weird, futuristic, but also a long time ago design
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, and
And
like to build different aesthetics for each like thing. Like, it's not all one aesthetic. Like they had to plan for different.
yeah.
It's
I,
yeah.
so I think about that. Like you mentioned, the guy who did the first one and the guy who did the second ones. I feel like the second one has to be the harder one. First
Right.
one, it's like, we'll see.
Just making it up. Yeah.
Everyone's kind of like, who knows? This George Lucas guy, whatever.
Right.
And then it takes off and it's freaking
Yeah.
like viral before viral was a thing, and
Right.
now it's like, oh, we got to make sure we match that, at least match that, or
Right.
surpass it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
no, that stuff's great. I even like
Yeah.
the concept art that you'll see for like current Star Wars stuff, like Mandalorian,
Oh
when they're
yeah,
doing
that
the
stuff's
credits and
awesome.
whatnot.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
was more interesting than the series for me.
Yeah,
I'm
I always
like,
watch those. I always sit
yeah,
there and watch the whole, like,
yeah,
oh, and it's funny to pick
yeah.
up on things like, oh, they drew that way different than it actually ended up being.
Hmm.
Like, that's pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I love that stuff.
dude.
Yeah. I'd say also some, and I can't even think of any of the artists specifically that caught me, and there was a different period of time, but like, um, when you'd come across like insane tattoos that are
Hmm.
just like, so I tattooed for a while, and like the to understand what goes into a tattoo and then see some of these tattoos today that are like, it's just insane, and
Yeah,
like understanding like, yeah, those catch me sometimes. I'll
yeah,
be death scrolling on Instagram and just, what, like,
yeah.
how
I
much is
mean,
it? Like,
yeah, that was a straight line, and that was on flesh, and they were probably moving through it, and yeah, like tattoo
right.
artists, they put in the work for sure.
Yeah.
I I see. I do the same thing. If I start looking at tattoos, it's over. Just like all day. Just
Yeah.
okay, okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's
There's
awesome. I
some
didn't.
crazy ones.
So, did you have a style that you leaned towards with tattoos, or just kind of
No, it
do it
was,
choice?
yeah, it was kind of, so the shop I worked at, so after I graduated high school, finished working with the artist at the Cabela's Mansion,
Hmm.
then we moved out to Lincoln, Nebraska. As soon as we got out there, I started hunting tattoo shops, like what, because that was my goal. I'm like, okay, well, to keep this art career going, like tattoos would be fun. And so I found a tattoo shop that would give me an apprenticeship, and and I loved that shop. Their whole thing kind of was like, uh, I don't. It was like basically like work with the customer, like help them come,
Yeah.
like get that design, which was a good thing and a bad thing. Like it was a good thing because I would meet that customer's need if I needed to.
Hmm.
The only bad thing was like, yeah, we weren't. I wasn't building like a style. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
If I could have, I was trying to lean more towards um, kind of like, I guess it'd be called new at the time when I was tattooing. It was like new school,
Yeah. Bright
and then
colors, kind of
yeah, and like
fun, like
kind of weird,
90s character type stuff, right?
yeah, kind of weird
Yeah.
and like cartoonish kind of caricature,
Yeah.
and and then I also really liked black and gray. Just working on like, there's a few tattoos that still exist on Instagram somewhere. I have a hashtag, so I'm sure
Hmm.
there's still some on there.
Okay.
But I would do like, there was a black and gray horse. Like if I could have kept like doing more of those like black and gray animals, that would have been fun. Like
Yeah,
stuff like
man.
that. But but otherwise, it was just kind of like, yeah, whatever they came, whether
Yeah.
it was a Husker N or whatever, it was like,
Yeah.
I guess that's what I'm doing. So
So, do you have any regrets? You're like, this person wanted this and I had to do it. Like, I
yeah,
really
for
don't want to
sure.
do this tribal, but I did it. And
Yeah, there's definitely, yeah, like, and early on, like I kind of felt, okay, I got to do it, whatever it is. And eventually, as I started going longer, I was able to be like, no,
yeah,
sorry. But
yeah,
early on, I thought I just had to accept everything. Like, this
yeah,
is the deal. But
yeah. Well,
yeah, there's
feel
definitely
that.
some that I shouldn't have done. But yeah,
Uh, gotta pay the bills.
yep,
So,
that's right.
all right, man. So, your gallery, your tattoo, any other like secret things that we need to know? I didn't know about the
I
tattoo
mean, the
stuff.
yeah, so I did that right after whatever. I did that for 5 years, and then there was, so in high school, like skater punk kid, loved we would build bicycles early on is what we were doing. We were building lowrider bicycles.
Oh, sick.
And so once we were, which I didn't even start driving until I was 18, but once we should have been started driving cars, the next thing was like, oh, we got to build like muscle cars. And
Yeah.
so I bought a Nova and
Okay.
restored that. And
Dang.
so I was like, okay, this is what I want to like. I want to also work on cars. Like, this is awesome. And so then
Yeah.
while I was tattooing, I found a restoration shop, and I was like, oh, if I could get a job restoring muscle cars, that'd be pretty sweet. And I
Yeah.
tried to keep both, so I got the job. I tried to keep tattooing and doing that at the same time. It got to be too much because the restoration shop was from 7 to 5, and then I was tattooing till 10, and it was just
That's
like
all day, man.
it was too
Yeah.
much. Yeah, I held off for as long as I could, and it was fun and it worked. But we had our we ended up having our first kid. My wife and I had our first kid, so there's like this
Something's
is
gotta
eating
give.
up
Yeah.
all the time. So I was like, I gotta pursue this restoration shop deal. Like, I gotta pursue working on muscle cars. So I ended up quitting tattooing at that point, and just went focused fully on the working at that
Mhm.
restoration shop. And that's when I did all the way up until we moved here in June. So I did
Dang.
that for the last 10 years.
Dude.
So
You're
yeah,
like living it, man. Like all these things that I'm like not so much muscle cars, like restoration in general. I just go down rabbit holes on that tattooing, and like you're doing it, man. Or you did it. I
yeah,
mean,
did
like
it. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
good for
Yeah, no,
you,
yeah,
man.
I'll do that. Like, have you seen that guy that will do like restorations on like an old Tonka truck or a
Dude, don't.
random ice?
I can
Yeah,
name the YouTube channel. Like it is this
those
guy.
things.
Everyone
Yeah,
needs to go watch this guy,
yeah,
My Mechanics. He's
yeah,
the best, and my
yeah.
kids make fun of me for it. And I'm like, guys, no, he does it perfectly. Like,
Uh-huh.
and he rounds all the edges so that everything fits better. And, oh
Yeah,
gosh, like, dude. Yeah, I've seen the Tonka truck guy. I've seen like
yeah,
all like I've spent more time than I'd like to admit watching these things. So, but
yeah.
you actually
That's the
did stuff. Like, good for you,
right. Yeah. So
dude.
yeah, yeah, that stuff's always fun. But
I gotta get
yeah,
you.
and that,
You gotta make one. Like, go find an old like pro carbon. The what was before the '98? The Titmans.
oh,
Was it a
I
carbine?
don't. Yeah, I think that's right.
I
Right?
think so. But the ones it was more rifle like than the '98.
Hmm.
We'll find one of those that's like just
Yeah,
and like do a full restoration video. You
that
would
would
be
be
a
fun.
hero if you
Yeah,
did that. So
I know. I know. That's like, if I had the money to be collecting paintball guns, there would be a real big problem.
oh gosh,
Because
yeah.
yeah,
What's
it's like
the so is the DM4 the dream gun? Like if you could find any gun throughout paintball history, which one would you go for?
yeah, the DM4 is one of those that like I wanted it so bad, and then it was like we stopped playing paintball. Probably like I probably would have ended up just getting one within the year. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Yeah.
so it was like I was so close, and it's like not even the coolest gun, but it was just like one of those guns. Um, I'd say
Yeah.
that. Like, I know I always dreamed of having the die autocockers were sweet, and then
Yeah.
of course the Dynasty shockers. I ended up building for my Ion. I took an aluminum tube that fit on the because that whole body would come off,
Hmm.
and I ended up taking like die grinders and made my own fake shocker body.
Of course he did. Of
Yeah,
course he did.
yeah. I need to find it. I don't know where it went, like, because the original body's back on it. So at some point I took it off and I don't know where it went, but it was awesome. It was just an aluminum body. It was so cool. It was like my
Dude.
fake shocker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
yeah.
I gotta find one of the die autocockers, like just a picture of it. Those guns. Did you know they made like a body for like a I don't know if it was a mini mag or an auto mag, but they had a mag
Oh, really?
version. Yeah. So
No
I used
idea.
to work at a field and one of my buddies like sons who was older than me, but he brought his gear up and he had I see this like old die it was a solid die barrel on a mag and I'm like, wow, that's like hard to find these days just in general.
Right.
He's like the whole thing's die and I was like, what? And so I'm looking at like the frame, the body, everything was die and I was like, holy
Huh. That's
shit,
crazy.
I didn't know this existed. What the, yeah, didn't work, but it was
That's funny. Yeah, of course.
yeah. But those
Yeah.
die autocockers, I feel like I've seen them before. I remembered perusing, what was the website? Action Village, that's what it was.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Dude, just looking at all
Yeah.
the fun stuff they had.
Yeah. Like Faceful magazines were like my go-to. Like I carried those in my backpack every
Oh
day.
yeah,
I'd take them to school. Like I still have six left. I've lost a bunch, but I've got like a 2004, five, uh, several fives, and yeah, those things like
yeah, those are great.
yeah. And
Did
I would
you?
just sit there and dream about like, oh, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna get
Yeah.
that.
hmm
Like,
This
yeah,
is the build I want, and yeah.
yeah,
Oh man, not anymore. I don't. It's just like all like a one-stop shop. Whatever gun you get, it's kind of,
yeah, yeah.
kind of. I don't know. Maybe it's just our era, but it seems kind of lame now, where it's like,
Yeah, you get it and it's done. Like I loved
yeah.
that was like what I did was customized every one of my guns. Like
hmm
immediately I would be stripping off like I stripped off the little gel System X things off my autococker. I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
hand cut in my own custom stickers to fit the sides and like yeah.
yeah,
Every
yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, uh, I want to respect your time. I appreciate you doing this, man. I'm trying to think. Oh, so Vera Art and Outdoors on
Yeah.
Instagram. Everyone needs to check them out, and I'll put that in like the show notes for sure.
Cool.
Uh, yeah, dude. Thank you so much for this. Did you have any questions for me? Sorry.
I don't think so. I mean, yeah, I'm curious, I guess, where is your connection to the paintball world kind of similar thing? You just loved it
Oh,
and got
yeah. Like, so I went to college, uh, like for art education, but I think like most art educators, they kind of dabble in everything and then end up like, well, I'll just teach it. Not just, but
yeah,
I'll be a teacher. Uh,
right.
but throughout my classes, I would, I played for our college team and I'd be thinking of jersey designs or whatever and like
Yeah.
just always like sort of focused on paintball and was playing, got married and like kind of like had to like focus on being an adult and
Right. Doing life, yeah.
and honestly, like I made a piece for a old friend. Like I was copying an artist whose name I can't think of right now. Bolo, James Bolo, who does this really cool, like hyper realistic, almost like cut paper that are put into slivers of a photo, and I don't know. Anyway, I copied his
Interesting.
style, and it's of my friend Sean Zacedo, who was playing for Diesel at the time. Like, I just found this photo and sort of did the thing, and I was like, man, that was a lot of fun. Like, I had been doing just sort of paintings that were like craft show paintings, I guess. I don't know how to say it. Like, I would make pretty things that didn't really mean anything to me, but it was just
Oh, right.
like like just sort of, hey, I'll paint this animal with bright colors. Someone will buy this rabbit because they're cute, and and
Yeah.
it was fun, but it wasn't fulfilling,
Right.
and
Yep.
so I do this thing for Sean or of Sean, and it got received pretty well, and so I was like, I don't know why it like stopped, and then one of my coworkers just sort of like gave me permission almost. He's like, hey, it seems like this is kind of your avenue, man. Like, it seems like a good, like, I think you should do this. That's all I needed to hear. I was like,
That's
all
awesome.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I've been kind of like, you know, I received that and I was like, yeah, dude, all right, I'll do it. And so I'm trying to make sure I like share that with other folks too. Like whenever I see these creatives, like you know, you, and then I'm talking to another artist who's been doing these really cool bas relief uh, tiles of paintball players.
Oh,
Uh,
it's
uh,
a
I
lady,
can't.
right?
Yeah, I can't remember her name. I know it's like Blog Full of Jelly. I think is her
Yeah, I
symbol.
follow her. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're super cool. Like I've not done a whole bunch of bas relief, but I just want to like when I see these other creators, like I kind of feel talking to you is encouraging because it's like I'm not a unicorn. I'm not this weirdo. Just like we there's other art nerds out there who also like paintball and make
Yeah.
art
Yeah.
about it. So
Hmm.
um, that's fun. That's really cool.
That, when did you first like start like selling your art or like deciding that like you could maybe try and do something like because you sell your art, right?
Yeah, like for
Yeah,
paintball or just in general.
just in general.
Uh, Gosh, I think s- out of college is like, hey, or teachers only get paid once a month out here, so that's a
Right.
long gap, and
That's
at teacher's
yeah.
salary, it's not like it's pretty much gone right when you get it, and so it's like, oh, I got to figure something out, and so I like painting. I'd try to paint things that I wanted to paint, and people sometimes would buy it, sometimes not, and then
Yeah.
I think it's just that one person who's like, "Hey man, how much for that?" And
Yeah.
oh wait, I can make money off this. All right,
Right.
and so
Yeah.
I mean that was yeah, just sort of probably a couple years after college, I like really was like, all right, I you know I spent all this money on this degree for art. It's like I know how to make some kind of art, so
Right.
and
Yeah.
I should you know be able to sell it, and so I did that, and then I did a few. We have a out in Fort Worth. There's a downtown. There's a street called Magnolia, and they do a festival every year, and it's like $100, and you get a booth on this,
Oh,
and
nice.
I
That's
mean like
cheap.
yeah, super cheap. Everyone makes their even like crappy art makes their money back, and so I'd go there and make 600, 1,200. Like depending
Nice.
on whatever
Yeah.
year, and it was like okay, cool, and so I did that, and then with paintball, it kind of ventured into like the design stuff. So like these posters back here.
Yeah. Up until because I watched yours with Oliver.
Yeah.
I didn't know those were your posters because I've seen those get posted.
Yeah.
Those are awesome. Yeah, I didn't realize those were yours.
Yeah. So they like I did that was another like kind of stemmed from teaching. I saw this artist, Mads. Gosh, what's his name? Mads. Mads something. I don't know. But
Hmm.
he does sort of this Art Deco illustration, like digital illustration. I was like, that's cool. I want to try that. And just made a poster of Greenspan, and it kind of took off. Like Iconic, the Quinn from Iconic commissioned me, and then it just sort of it's
Yeah.
evolved. Built a lot of relationships like in the industry, and it's
Yeah. That's
once
awesome.
I think once you get in it, like it's a still a pretty small industry.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You're talking with Isaac and Maddie, like you're
Yeah, and
in.
like Blake, I've been talking
Yeah,
with Blake, and like obviously
yeah,
I got hooked up with Grayson, which was awesome.
yeah.
And but yeah, yeah, it's definitely it's funny. It's small, but like for us it's huge
Yeah,
because it's like it's
exactly.
awesome. It's huge. It's
Yes.
like this is awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you like step back, you're like, yeah, it's tiny, but
Yeah.
like, but it's still awesome. Like, yeah, and it's so
It's
fun because I carry Brute in the gallery. I've got
mhm.
soap and all this stuff, and so people will be like, Who's Brute? Who does this? What is this?" I was like, "Oh yeah,
Here
hold
we
on."
go. Yeah.
I'm like so excited to be like, "So there's this professional paintball player." I'm like,
Paintball? You can be a professional? What?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
so funny getting, and I
Yeah.
love it just specifically just to get what kind of reaction people would be like. what? Like,
Yeah,
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 it's awesome. And then I can just nerd out on it and be like, so, and like tell them all
yeah,
about it. Yeah.
dude.
And I've got, I ended up trading one of my t-shirts. Well, so I'm I'm about to launch. I wish I would have had it done. I could have told you, and it'd have been awesome.
Oh
I'm
man.
about to launch my a new apparel brand.
Oh sweet.
Um, that's it's called Stick Gun Veterans. And so I've got the Instagram, but I've got like three posts. I don't have anything up there yet. But
Okay.
that's what this wall is over here. Those are all stick
Stick
guns.
guns. Yes.
Yeah.
Do
So
you follow the like the Stick Society or whatever?
I just found them. I'm like, oh, I need to
This is
like share. Yeah.
another fun rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Stick gun
So
veterans.
I I made this t-shirt line of stick gun veterans, and it's all a bunch of different stick guns. And it used to be on my Vera Art and Outdoors, but
Hmm.
I separated it. It's going to be its own entity. I'm almost done with the site. Like I I wish I could have been done, but like I don't know how long. When will this be posted?
Uh, at the earliest, like next Wednesday. Probably not then, because I've got another one before you that I need to post. But
Well, by the time this is up, that
you just let
website
me.
might exist.
Yeah, dude.
Like stick
Whenever
gun
you finish it,
veterans.
send it to me, and I'll see if I can
Yeah. And
go
so
back.
when I had, I don't know, I don't really remember how Blake, I'm guessing Blake found me because of the most creative move when I did the painting for Grayson.
Probably, yeah.
I'm guessing that's how. Either way, Blake found it, saw those shirts, and thought they were awesome. I ended up trading him. I think it was the Birchuka. So it's birch for birch tree, but then dash uka, and so and I ended up trading him that for one of his jerseys this year. Uh,
Dude, that's
so
so dope.
and it's cool because I've got Archie Shear and SK on there. So like
Holy, you got,
it's
yeah,
kind of, I mean, sad that they left, but cool that I got one of their last
yeah,
signed dynasty. But
dude.
um,
Bertuca. That's awesome.
but yeah, so then obviously you know uh, Blake and I have been talking. So back to that, just like being kind of a small world,
Hmm.
but yeah, I'm hoping. Yeah, I'm hoping to start using stick gun veterans also as a way to like be one of those outside sponsors
Yeah,
in the
man.
NXL. I just got to get some stuff put together. So
That's like the coolest. I love it. I can't wait to see these shirts, man. Like,
yeah, they're so fun. They're like
fucking,
uh,
like, you do it all, man. You're
here's
the
here's
Renaissance
some of the
man.
original sketches of some of the there's
Yes,
the it's called the RP tree, and so
of course.
RPG
Oh my
uh,
gosh.
M2 fir tree, the 762 acorns. I've got just the sawed off.
Yeah,
Uh,
of
uh,
course.
if for like guys who are familiar with like Kimber is a brand of like they do
Okay.
like high-end 1911s. So
Yeah.
this one's called the Timber
Oh
1911,
my gosh.
and then yeah, there's
I got
I got all
a.
kinds.
So I just interviewed. I have a reel out of him, Mike Reynolds, but he's a combat artist.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's you got to give him a follow. He's like, I'm just now diving into this. I kind of like had a connection with him through a former coworker, and he gave me a list of these other combat artists, and it is incredible, man. Like, you
Yeah,
might be
that's
something you're
awesome.
down for. Like they take civilians for some of their
Oh,
stuff.
really?
Yeah,
Nice. That's
so
cool.
you don't have to be
Yeah.
military, but
Right.
it's cool stuff. So
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
I love the stick gun veterans. It's cool.
Yeah, because I mean, most, at least most guys, when I first came up with this idea, I was like, I I just
like
wanted to add more apparel designs to my
yeah,
Vera Art and Outdoors. I
yeah.
was like,
Like I
what's
want to
kind
get
of,
one for my boys, man. Like they
yeah,
don't
I
like
plan on having a kids line and
yeah,
even like
dude.
onesies and stuff. So like
Yeah.
for the kids like in the thing, they're called saplings, and then the onesies and stuff, those are seedlings.
Oh my
But
gosh,
yeah,
dude.
so
Think of it all. That's awesome.
but Yeah, like I started pitching this idea to my wife and like our friends. I'm like, listen, here's this idea.
Gonna
And they're
happen.
like, obviously, like the guys were like, yes. And
Yeah.
like, I wanted to like talk to like other, as many people as I could to find out like, is this even a good idea? Because like, to me, it's awesome. And
Yeah.
so I worked with guys from 18 up to like in their 60s. And I'm like, hey, did you ever have stick gun wars? And they would be like all of a sudden just reminiscing. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm like, all right, so we're all stick gun veterans, like at the very least. But yeah, most of the women had no idea what. Like, I called
Dude.
my sister and her husband, my brother-in-law, were basically best friends. But
Mhm.
like, so I'm calling her. I'm like, hey, uh, do you remember like stick gun wars? She's like, what? I was like, did you ever see me playing outside, like having stick gun wars? And she's like, what are you talking about? And I was on speakerphone, and my brother-in-law is like, okay, but hey, when you were doing this, and she's like, wait, you know what he's talking about? He's like, yeah, everybody does. Like,
Yeah. That was
yeah.
yeah. We were
So, but it turns
outside.
out I think it was just mostly a guy thing. But yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, you're probably right.
yeah.
But
So,
it's
yeah,
dude, I can't wait. All
yeah.
right. Sign me up. I'm down. That's you where does this come from? Like you do all these amazing things.
It's
Or
just,
just
yeah,
all
I
these
mean,
things that I want to do. Like
right, yeah.
it's-
My mind's busy. It's
yeah, I
real
bet,
busy.
man. I bet.
Yeah. So, yeah,
Sweet.
it's fun. It can be a problem though.
Ah,
But
no. It seems like you found all the right avenues for that.
yeah, yeah.
So is that like your art making? Is that sort of like a necessity, an obsession that you got to do, or is it like a this helps me wrestle with my thoughts type thing, or all the
Yeah,
above?
both, all of it. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, I've got so many things to keep me busy, but at this point, opening the gallery and like pushing this, like, yeah, I've got to make my art make me money because
Yeah.
it's what I have.
Yeah. That's I. I don't know if anyone else wants to hear about it. I want to hear all about opening a gallery. Like that's
Yeah,
fun.
I
Like
mean, yeah, it was a
is it
big.
terrifying?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, I have this whole idea in my mind of like this wilderness art. Because that's one thing that like with art, um, obviously I enjoy like I love doing paintball related paintings. I'll do like Star Wars related paintings, but I'm not gonna sell those. Like I'm not gonna, if like the paintball ones, like those, the goal for that is to end up being commissioned.
Hmm.
Like then I'll be getting paid for them. But I can't just paint a paintball painting and expect somebody random to want that as much.
Yeah.
Um, Online, of course, but like getting the right
Out to your
following, getting
gallery.
the
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
and with like here in Colorado, like I don't, or here in Loveland, I think the nearest paintball field is like, um, I think it's 2 hours away. So it's not super far, but it's like I don't think there. I haven't reached out, but I don't think there's a paintball community in this town. So
Yeah.
like for the chances of somebody to walk in and be like, "Oh, sick! That guy's got a old Halo," like I
Yeah.
don't think it's gonna happen.
Oh
Um,
man.
but I also really enjoy doing like wildlife art and then these characters, which I'm working on. These characters are like building up to be a children's book is my goal.
Hell
And
yeah. I can
so
see that
they're
for
just
sure.
basically
Yeah.
like illustrations for this book that I'm going to write called Bob and Gus. And it's these two characters on an adventure. It's Gold Rush Gus and Bobsled Yeti. And then this
Dude.
lady's name is Yuka. But
Okay.
um, but anyways, all of that being said, like this is my style. So like the gallery I want to do has to fit that and be like I want it to be this wilderness inspired gallery, but I also don't want it to um, be the same as every other gallery in Colorado,
Mm-hmm.
where like
It's a bunch.
wilderness stuff is going to happen. But
Yeah.
um, so I definitely, and I didn't want it to be like this super uptight gallery either, or like super museum level,
Mm-hmm.
um, just because like there's a certain level of like uh like shut off or whatever, like where if you walk in there you're not going to feel super like comfortable or welcome whether you're an artist or a person to look.
Yeah.
um and I wanted it to be kind of laid back in that level and like kind of real welcoming almost, but still classy. So it's like
Yeah,
it's a
it's
fine
official, it's
line.
professional, but also like
Yeah,
everyone's welcome. I get it.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so, most art galleries aren't going to have, like, I've got apparel. Whether it's my stuff that I've designed, I've got two other apparel designers that do like, screen printed stuff, but one of them is actually my sister, and then another chick from here in Loveland. And then I've got a few that they'll take like an old denim jacket and sew on a mountainscape and stuff. Like, so like I've got
Yeah.
apparel,
Like
and then
custom.
I've
Yeah.
got jewelry makers, and and then every other kind of art that you could think of. Um, I've got a chick that makes tattoo, like stick-on tattoos, but she has a whole process of making them. She'll like do the design and make it, and then it becomes a stick-on tattoo. Like stuff like that, you're not gonna find in a normal
Yeah. That's
gallery because
amazing.
they're gonna be more like, you
Here's
know,
this $10,000 landscape. Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so, and I've kind of like not by like not on purpose. It's kind of happened this way just by chance, where a lot of the artists that I have actually never been in galleries before, which I've never been in a
Hell
gallery.
yeah. No, I'm
Like
all
I
about
had,
it,
ne
dude. That's
like I,
amazing.
yeah. So I've accidentally built this new community of artists, which is like perfect. Like if I could have chose it that way, it wouldn't have happened, but
I'm
it
like
happened
getting
that way.
goosebumps, man. This is so freaking cool. I love that.
Yeah, it's awesome. And like I've met so many like cool artists that have like a unique reason why they're connected to wilderness or the
Hmm.
outdoors or whatever, however you want to say it. But like all of us are like connected in that and the art
Hmm.
aspect, but otherwise like totally different people we never would have crossed paths.
Yeah.
And that's something that, along with every other avenue I've gone down, really art has like connected me in that way. Um, like I'm interested in like 100 different things, but my art can connect me to those other different things. And so like it's connected me to these people. Like, yeah, it's interesting. It's
Dude.
a fun thing.
I'm looking right now. I've got family in Angel Fire, New
Where's that at?
Mexico. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Like Taos-ish, New Mexico. And I'm like, man, I want to come see your gallery. Like, and you said
Yeah,
it's in
yeah,
Loveland?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
it's not close, but
No,
I'll find
yeah.
a way.
If if anybody's ever going out to Estes, then you're
Estes,
getting
okay.
close. Like Estes is like a destination place that a lot of people will go.
And
And
what's your
like,
is your gallery name Vera and out or Vera
no,
Art
so
and
it's got
Outdoor?
its
Okay.
no, and it's got its own Instagram. It's called Wilderness Art Quarry.
Wilderness Art Quarry. Okay.
Yep.
So if you're heading out to Estes, that's the move.
Yeah.
Homie, you're doing it,
Yeah.
man. That's like
Yeah.
props. It
Thanks.
may
Yeah.
seem weird, but like I'm proud of you. Like that's freaking cool. You're like you started a gallery, you created a community. Like that's
Yeah.
and you've created a community for people that probably struggle to find that. So
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
and like if nothing else, like you've created a
Yeah.
support system. That's so
Yeah,
cool.
it's fun, and we're trying to hold. We've held one, and we're going to hold them. I think quarterly is my goal, but just artist nights where everybody from the gallery, because none of them have met
Yeah.
until I've connected them, and so like we had artists get together, and that gives them a chance to like meet each other, like come up with
Yeah.
creative ideas, like spitball ideas, and like just like yeah, build and inspire,
Dude,
and yeah, it's fun.
that's amazing. You're so cool, man. Like like but really, like that's good for you. Like where does that come from? Just this like, yeah, I'll go for it. Like
Oh, I mean,
or is there like a lot of nerves going into it or like are you a
oh yeah, I
planner or
mean,
like how do you
no,
get to that
I'm not
point?
a planner. Like I'm a last minute guy. Like, and
Okay.
I mean, this we had to plan a little bit, obviously,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it was crazy. We my mother-in-law actually found the location for us while we still lived in Lincoln in Nebraska. And like, so we started renting the building like based on a cell phone video walk around.
No
We're like,
way.
all right, do it. Like
Yeah.
we already had our move date planned. So we're like, all right, do it. So then I didn't see the place in person until we got here, and like that was crazy. Like walking around like, all right, I better make this happen.
Do
Like
something. Yeah.
yeah, so and
Yeah.
then it was, obviously like learning how to run a business, learning how to do like marketing, which I'm never going to fully figure that out, but like figuring out how to build a website, which I need to work on my skills on that and like everything. But it's just like, well, I'm just going to keep going and keep doing it and like, throw flags out, artists wanted, start meeting people, find out what they got. And
Yeah.
luckily, like, I mean, I tried to hunt down a few artists on my own, and I think I only ended up getting like maybe two of those artists that I like seeked out personally. Otherwise, the rest have just like they found out about it one way or another,
Yeah.
and it worked out. So,
Dude.
but
Freaking. All
yeah,
right.
it's a wild thing.
All right, homie. I think I gotta have you back on. Like we're hitting an hour 30, and I'm just like, I still have so many questions, so I don't want to take
No, you're
too much of your
yeah,
time. But
yeah,
thank you so much.
yeah,
All right, I'll post your stuff on there, and then I'll post like your website, your Stick Gun Veterans. Hopefully,
yeah. Hopefully
it'll
by the
all
time
line up right for that.
yeah. If not, at least the
And
Instagram should be going by then. Better.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
Well, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Appreciate it. This was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I enjoy watching your episodes. It's fun seeing who you got on. So.
Dude, this one's gonna this is one of my favorites.
Oh,
like
that's awesome.
I'm
Yeah.
inspired. Like you got a great story, man. Thanks.
Thanks. Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Thank you again to my patrons. If you're interested in becoming a patron, you can visit patreon.com/riddlesart to see how you can support the show. This video is made available by viewers like you.